Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, and I would like to welcome you to Mystery Movie Night at the Regal. Already in the chat, my partner in crime, Sense Corner, who is still on her working vacation. She will be back next week. Emoji Queen, Lady Mist. I'd like to say hello to everyone watching us on Twitter. I can't see you, but I know you're there. Don't forget to hit the like, share out the stream. If you're new to the channel or to Sin's channel, please subscribe. Just now joining us in the chat, Loyal Blue Wrench, the Bird Woman of YouTube, Connie Cleary. I saw a movie tonight. I will now review it. Alrighty. Good evening. Glad to see everyone here tonight. All right. Well, this movie was an interesting one. As of course, for those of you who might be new to the show, this is the Mystery Movie Night. This is usually Monday nights, usually at 7, sometimes at 5 if it's a family film. And you don't know what movie you're going to be seeing going in. There are some scant clues. There is a Reddit thread where people go on and guess what the movie is. And it turned out that tonight's selection was like the number one choice. So, folks, we're getting better at guessing this. So, I guess there's nothing to do now but to tell you what the movie was. And it was Wicked Little Letters. It is a British comedy based at least in part on a true story. And it basically surrounds a libel case involving these two women, Edith, played by Olivia Colman, and Rose, played by Jessie Buckley. You have two very diametrically opposed these are two, they're kind of like oil and water, but they do start out as friends. You have Edith, who is this very, very devout, from this religious background, this very, as the movie goes on, we come to realize, very oppressive religious background. She's never married. She is what would be what would have at one time been considered an old maid. On the other side, you have Rose, who is this immigrant from Ireland, um, war widow with a young daughter, um, very outgoing, not careful about what she says or who she says it to, you know, which will lead to why she gets accused of what she gets accused of during the course of the film. And they do get along. They start out as friends, but as a chain of events takes place, they grow apart. Someone calls Child Protective Services on Rose. She is led to believe that it's Edith who has done this. So they have a falling out. And then Edith starts getting these letters. And they start to get more and more insulting and really nasty, you know. And everything just kind of snowballs from there, you know, because this is to send letters such as these is illegal. You could do like a year in prison, you know, if you're caught, you know. And so a court case stems from this, and you have a police officer, again another woman of Indian descent by the name of Moss, who wants to investigate the case, but is being kind of pushed away from it. But when Rose finally comes to her for help, because Rose realizes that Moss is believing her story, that she's not involved in this, and it kind of goes from there. Sun says in the chat, I understand this is based on a true story. I wonder how much is true. And that's the main issue that I had with the movie. This is one where there are definitely some pros and there are definitely some cons, and I'm going to go into that. I did certain scenes, whether or not certain characters existed, whether or not certain things happened at certain times, because you do get the feeling that time is being compressed. And I mean, there's a certain point in the movie where that kind of has to happen. But one good thing about the movie, and hello to the viewer, Drew, is this movie is not very long. It's about an hour in 42 minutes or so, all told, including credits. So it does not outstay its welcome. It moves at a pretty good clip. I'll give it that. It is a very vulgar film. I will give you that. And anybody who has heard any of my broadcasts, you know that I am not, you know, I don't mind swearing. You know, I'm not a teetotaler or anything, you know. But there were a few times in this movie where I was like, "Oh my God, just stop!" You know? there are you basically get a lesson in how to swear during the course of this. Um, because it's one of those movies where people are, like, scolding characters with, "Oh my god, well, you can't say that." But as the movie progresses, everybody starts talking that way. You know? It's it it it's really very funny. Um, it is witty. It does have that British wit to it. It is funny. Um, in places I laughed out loud a number of times during the course of the runtime. Um, the acting is very good across the board from everybody. Um, the characters themselves, um, you do get to care for a few of them by the end, but it is a long road getting there, because there were a number of times where I just wanted to reach in through the screen and start strangling some of these people, to be honest. Um, they don't all come off likable. Um, Edith and Rose, there are different times in the movie where you just wanna throttle them. Just, "Oh my god, snap out of it. Stop." You know? You're just making things worse. So there's a lot of that. Um, Timothy Spall's character, he plays Olivia Colman's dad in this movie. Um, you could say that his character causes a lot of the problems. Um, again, not a very likable character. It's a good performance. He's funny at times. He's someone you can laugh with and at various points. But then when you kind of start to realize what kind of character he really is and just how oppressive he has made this home, again, you just kind of want to reach through the screen and throttle him. And most of the characters are that way. And that's some of the issue that I have with the movie. Now, I understand this is a movie that takes place in the 40s, and or it might even be before. But I believe it's in the 40s, post-war. Um, Either way. And you have to take into account the politics of the time and where women were at the time. And it was a time when they were being treated like second class citizens. But I do think a little bit of 2024 thinking creeps into the movie. There's a point to where, and I got why the scene was there, all right, but because they were trying to make a point. because there's the character of Moss, who's the female officer. She refers to herself and is referred to as a woman police officer, not officer, woman police officer, Moss, and that's how she um, introduces herself to people throughout the movie. But there was one point where I was like, "Are we really going to go into like the pronoun game here?" Almost, you know. Um, all of the white male characters are useless because, of course, they are, or they're oppressive, or they're bigoted, or there's a lot of incompetent, um, taking credit for work they didn't do. There's a lot of that in this movie, and annoyingly so, because I thought that brought the movie down. Now, there are great chunks of this movie that work. Although the main, for the lack of a better term, mystery of the film, of who is responsible ultimately for writing these letters, I figured that out in the first half hour, the who and the why. So when you finally do get that reveal towards the end, I was like, I am way ahead of you. you know, and that was another problem. I was ahead of this movie. Um, there is one plot point, and this is non-spoiler, so I'm not going to give anything away, where you do find out something about one of the characters. Um, that was a bit of a surprise. But again, it's one that I don't think lands in the way the filmmakers think it's going to, because it's not really. It's kind of resolved with this one line, and it's like, okay, and we're supposed to buy that. I'm going to need a little bit more detail here, you know, um, because it's like, okay, what are the implications of that? And I would have liked a little bit more. Um, so this is one of those movies that I don't know how to review, because, as I said, there are some great things to like. It's a decent script. It's good performances. It moves pretty quickly. However, you have sections that were predictable, and annoyingly so. You have It leans too much on certain tropes. which I guess we're just gonna have to deal with in movies now. I don't know, know because 'cause I'm seeing it in everything now. Um, this movie does a little better covering that up, but it's still there. Um, I didn't hate this movie, despite my misgivings. At the same time, I'm not sure I would necessarily recommend it. Um, and I guess that's where I'm at with it. Um, I'm not telling anybody to not go see it. Um, formulate your own opinion. Um, there's been maybe, and I've been 50-50 pretty much on movies that have come out this year, on the number that I liked or not. It's pretty much split right down the middle, you know. But out of all of them, there's maybe one I would say don't even bother with, and I think you all can guess which movie that was. So I'm not telling anybody don't go see this. I'm kind of curious to see what everybody thinks of it. I'm going to be curious to see what Sin's review of this movie is when she finally sees it. Um, I'm sure there are a few reviews out on Letterboxd already. Because, like I said, there were some people who were anticipating that this was going to be the movie that was going to be shown tonight. Um, so I'm curious if there's anybody who sees this and thinks that I'm off base with it, or if I'm reading too much into certain things. It's definitely worth looking into the real life story to see, as Sin said earlier in the chat, how much of this was true. Because there were certain incidents and certain characters that I'm willing to believe were made up for dramatic purposes. Um, but if you want to get a laugh, some R-rated laughs. Um, you know, I don't know how many swear words were in this movie, but it had to be near a couple of hundred. There's a lot. Um, so be ready for that. This is not a movie for children. Do not take them. Um, I think like 15 on up will understand it and handle it. Do not take a small child to this. Please do not. This is not appropriate for small children. Um, I heard there was a lot of swearing. There is. They even come up with a couple of words I don't think have been used before. you know, um, and it's also how, and the here's a funny thing: the swearing is actually a clue to who's doing it, because you kind of get the idea that the person writing these letters doesn't know how to swear, or they swear like a kid who's never sworn before would do it, you know. So that kind of figures in, but yeah, if teenagers will handle this movie, they'll get a kick out of it, I think, but don't take a small child. Do not. This movie earns its R rating. Um, so yeah, um, it is a little scattershot, but there are things that I like about it. And there, like I said, there were some tropey things that I didn't like. Um, how just how much that brings the movie down for me, I haven't decided yet. Um, but I will put it this way. I'm not telling anybody not to go see it. In fact, I am telling you to go see it because I am curious what people's opinions will be on this movie. Um, I don't expect it to be in theaters for very long. Um, uh, however, it's obvious that this is kind of like a lower or middle budgeted movie. Um, so it will probably do decently. Um, that's something we'll have to look into later on. But this is one of those movies where if someone told me they absolutely loved every part of it, I would go fine. Um, I wouldn't I wouldn't try and talk anybody out of it, but if at the same time somebody didn't like it or didn't like it as much, I would understand that too. So I'm not quite sure where I am rating wise with this. I would have to think about it. Um, put me down as didn't hate it, but at the same time, I didn't love it either. Um, I'm just dating this movie. No. Uh, um, well, for those who are counting this sort of thing, you do get a brief shot of Jesse Buckley's rear end, and it's nice. So this movie has that going for it. And Hello, Lady V, Strangles movie. You might want to. I don't know. Um, like I said, I wanted to strangle some of the characters in this movie at various points. Um, but yeah, this is a movie I'm really going to have to think about as to how I feel about it. It's it might be worth me giving it a second look at some point. My initial rating, it's one of those movies where I'll think about it for a while and then it might go a half a star either way. And I think Sin will know what I'm talking about when I say that. Um, so that's what this movie was for me. Um, I'm kind of between rental and wait for streaming. That's where I am. And but like I said, I didn't hate it. I did laugh out loud a number of times during the course of it. Uh, there are just some tropey stuff in it, and it kind of brought the movie down for me. Um, That's about all I can really say about it. But I'm curious, folks, if you saw it tonight, or if you get a chance to see it when it goes wide in theaters, uh, hit me up in the comments section. Let me know what you think. And also let me know what you think next week's movie is going to be, because we know it's going to be a horror film. We've been told that already. Sin is commenting on that in the chat. My mystery movie buddy back home says that folks are speculating that the film next week is going to be the second Pooh horror movie. I hope not. Well, I do know that people have been speculating that it's going to be um, the second Pooh movie. I've also heard people say that it's going to be the Omen prequel, which would be the first time that a mystery movie night has been a sequel and or a prequel. But there's another movie that has come up in discussion, and I didn't have a chance to look that up, but I'm going to look it up now. Bear with me for a minute. All right, let me take this down a moment. Share screen. Now, the movie that has been coming up in conversation is this film here, Sting. Uh, After raising an unnervingly talented spider in secret, 12-year-old Charlotte must face the facts about her pet and fight for her family's survival when the once charming creature rapidly transforms into a giant flesh-eating monster. So it looks like we're going to get like a giant spider movie here. Um, Now, your guess is as good as mine. I I think I would rather it be this film than the other two that are being bandied about. Um, let's see. Lady Mist says, like Pooh 2, Tigger Terrific, yeah. Um, Seems like I'd be down for the Omen movie. Interesting. Looks sweet. If it's better than Eight-Legged Freaks, I'll see it. Eight-Legged Freaks was okay, but it was trying too hard to be Trummers. So this is the movie that they are talking about on Reddit to be next week's selection. I'm curious. I had not heard of this movie before this evening. I would play the trailer, but I don't want to risk getting nicked for copyright. So that's something that I'm going to do once the program is over. Maybe take a bit more of a dive into this. But this appears so Sting. This appears to be the selection for could possibly. I'm not saying it is, but it's the number one choice right now among those of us who are trying to guess this could be next week's movie. It could also be the Omen prequel. Um, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be Pooh because I really see that being more of a Fathom event. Um, I don't know. I might see that more as a curiosity. I'm not looking forward to it, but we'll see how it goes. Um, think they could have went with a scorpion of using that title. Oh, yeah, true. For Spider, I would have went with a kid named Spider. Yeah. All right. So that movie actually sounds kind of interesting. So I'll be curious to see what the final film is. Sin will be rejoining me next week. So you're going to get both of our opinions. And if she's seen this film, Wicked Little Letters, and let's see, what was last week's Arthur the King? If Sin sees either of those movies before next Monday, then maybe we'll get her opinions on those as well. Looking forward to it, as am I. So next week's going to be a fun one, I think, folks, either way. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and round out the show. I want to thank everybody that was following along on Twitter. I can't see you, but I know you're there. Please make sure to hit the like, share out this stream, and if you are new to my channel or Sins, please feel free to subscribe. Who is in the chat? Sins Corner, Lady V Elements, Lady Mist, Connie Cleary, The View with Drew, Deleted something Dark Side. I don't know. He was okay. Our friend Troy Pacelli has begun a new program, Monday night at the movies. They are watching the classic comedy Blazing Saddles. So head on over to Troy's channel. Our man from the future, Sashi, joining us right at the end. Please rewind, watch the show. Lady Mist has Troy's channel up in the chat. Let's go raid Troy, Monday night at the movies. From HQ, good night, take care, stay strong, because this is how we win.